Listen, I am definitely of the opinion that we should have some DEI hires in this administration, the ones that definitely earned it, because clearly we've got a bunch of incompetent fools trying to run our country. And actually, they are running our country. They're running it straight into the ground. As much as Trump and Republicans hate to accept it, we are still a country with laws. And when you break them, there are consequences. Hold on to your seats because things are about to get heated. Jasmine Crockett is absolutely unleashed as she goes off on J.D. Vance and the Trump administration. The lies, yeah, they've officially crossed the line. But what does she do when the truth's at stake? Let's just say it's not pretty. It's entertaining. If you thought politics couldn't get any wilder, think again. Watch as she drops truth bombs that'll leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. The lack of cohesiveness on that side is why this has been the most unproductive Congress. People all over X and everything are saying they don't deserve anything. They're so unproductive. Let me tell you, the people that you keep putting in charge are the reason that we are unproductive, because they don't understand how to govern. And honestly, they don't even have the will to govern. And the fact that they are allowing somebody who is basically a shadow president to come out and tell them what to do, including Donald Trump. Because listen, we know that Elon, as they've touted about how they need to get rid of the immigrants, let me be clear, Elon cannot become president of the United States because he is an immigrant who gained U.S. citizenship later on in life. So he's not qualified to be or allowed to be under our Constitution. So instead, he decided that he was going to buy a president. And right now, he is pulling all the strings on Trump. Jasmine Crockett didn't just go off on J.D. Vance and the Trump administration. She obliterated them. Let's just say when it comes to calling out the lies and unraveling the mess that is politics, Jasmine's the one leading the charge with a fury that could power a small city. And trust me, she didn't hold back. No one's safe when Jasmine Crockett has the mic. Especially not J.D. Vance, the guy who probably spends more time in Ohio than he does in the reality of his own thoughts. And then there's the ever-volatile Trump administration, a circus where the clowns aren't funny and the lions might just eat you for dinner. FBI, but my concerns, as ranking member of this subcommittee, as a member of Congress, and as an attorney, as well as a citizen, are based on things called facts. And when I say facts, I mean clear, indisputable facts, not those alternative facts my Republican colleagues continue pushing on to the American people. But this isn't just about J.D. Vance. Bless his heart for thinking he has any political weight. No, this is about something much larger. Donald Trump's delightful chaos that has somehow bled into every single corner of American life. From his Twitter antics to his utter inability to say anything without sounding like he's performing a live audition for America's Got Talent, Disaster Edition, this man has made a mockery of political discourse for years. And somehow, every time he opens his mouth, it's like the nation holds its breath, bracing for what's next. Spoiler alert, it's rarely good, and I'm tired of it because I didn't come to this chamber to play games. I came to this chamber to answer to the people, the American people, and to make sure that we keep the American people safe. And if we don't get something done, as they talk about the border, I do want to be clear. The only reason we haven't gotten funding for the border is because they killed the House Republicans here who killed the bill that they actually sent us from the Senate side. If they want to do some work, let me tell you something. The Democrats are ready, and it seems like the Senate Republicans are ready too. They just need to get to it.so. Jasmine Crockett steps into this mess. And like a lioness on a mission, she doesn't just take on J.D. Vance. She throws Trump and his entire circus of lies, gaslighting, and political nonsense into the ring. And let's be real, Trump is the kind of guy who has more skeletons in his closet than a haunted house. The difference? His skeletons don't even bother trying to hide, but also, when it comes down to like Trump being able to pick talent, let's just do a quick evaluation. I mean, when we look at Rudy Giuliani, I know that Rudy Giuliani has lost everything from his law license to his money to his dignity. Heck, he was even losing his hair dye, okay? Like he has lost everything, along with any other lawyer that's ever associated with him. And so now we get to JD Vance when he picks a VP running mate, and he also picked another loser, right? Like, because now the single cat ladies are coming for their ticket. I mean, this guy is a loser, and I just need America to step up one more time and remind him, just like they reminded him 4 years ago, that he's a loser, and he is only good for entertainment. But when it comes to running this country, we need someone who is serious. Here's a fun fact: Trump doesn't need a strategy. He's just out here, living his life like it's a reality show where every week is a surprise. I'm going to do something else that makes zero sense. That's the guy Jasmine Crockett had to deal with. She doesn't just lightly tap on his administration's failed attempts at governing. No, she punches it in the face with all the grace of a wrecking ball. The moment Jasmine calls out Trump, you just know it's about to go down. It's like the ultimate showdown between someone who's ready to tell it like it is and someone who thinks throwing random words together in a sentence counts as having a policy. So what does Trump do when faced with the truth? He resorts to his usual playbook: deny, deflect, and try to act like nothing ever happened. But Jasmine's not having it. She's ready to take those lies and turn them into confetti. Ultimately, each of you knows enough to know that at the end of the day, it is citizens who sit on a grand jury that are the ones who decide whether or not evidence exists to go forward with an indictment. And ultimately, when this president was convicted by a jury on the state level, it was a jury of his peers. Let's start with the Trump administration's glorious history of, well, not actually doing anything but causing chaos. Remember the time Trump tried to pretend like he was this big champion of the working class? It's almost like he mistook the job of president for being the CEO of a failed reality show. His promises were as empty as his understanding of basic economics. Did he deliver jobs? Sure, but not for the people who actually needed them. He delivered tax cuts for the rich and called it a victory for the little guy, which, if you think about it, is like giving the starving man a cookie and calling it dinner. And here comes Jasmine Crockett with the cold hard facts. She's calling out this nonsense like a teacher in a classroom full of delusional students who think they know everything about history but can't even name a single president besides Trump. She just lays it out, pointing out that no, Trump didn't actually help the middle class. Can tell you one thing that is crumbling for the city of DC was that continuing resolution that defunded approximately $1 billion from them. But I will focus on today's hearing. The Republicans' recklessness and chaotic approach to reducing the size of government has shown us what we've already known: concepts of a plan don't work. It's not just going to be Democrats who miss out on Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, or only Democratic veterans who miss out on their VA benefits. Their approach will negatively impact all Americans. So it's unfortunate that Republicans have taken a seemingly bipartisan issue and included it as part of their scam to subsidize tax giveaways for billionaires. They haven't proposed anything that will improve the efficiency of the government. Instead, they have put the country on a path to a recession and implemented the largest tax increase on Americans in decades through Trump's tariffs. This hearing is their latest attempt to try to convince the American people that dismantling public-facing agencies will somehow improve government efficiency. Let me tell you, in fact, if you're part of the middle class, Trump probably thinks you're one of those people who don't even know how to properly fold a fitted sheet, and therefore your problems aren't worth fixing. But hey, he's throwing some money at the richest people in the country, and that should fix everything, right? Jasmine's not buying it, and neither should you. Now, anyone who's followed Trump for more than 5 minutes knows that the man can't handle a crisis without looking like he's trying to juggle flaming swords while blindfolded. It's almost as though the entire response was one big episode of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but instead of $1 million, the prize was a global health disaster. Trump's solution to the pandemic was, of course, to downplay it until it was absolutely too late. If there were a contest for the most avoidant behavior in a leadership role, he'd win by a landslide. This is the same guy who told us to just drink bleach because what could possibly go wrong with that advice? You are not concerned. When I walk into Congress every single day, you know why I don't feel away and why you can't make me doubt who I am? It's because I know that I had to work 10 times as hard as they did just to get into the seat. When you look and you compare me to Marjorie Taylor Greene or me to Lauren Boebert, there is no comparison. And that is the life that we have always lived. So the only people that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people who historically have had to work so much harder. This is why they don't want us to have education. This is why they are trying to literally say we won't fund the HBCU, because they know that if they've already gone after affirmative action and they're saying, you know what? Don't allow them to come into these PWIs, as we call them, don't allow them to come into these institutions. We know why they created the HBCU in the first place. It was because they wouldn't allow us into the white. Oh, J.D. Vance. He was a poster child for political confusion. He didn't know whether he was on Team Red or Team Blue. But what he did know was that he couldn't stand Donald Trump. When J.D. decided to throw his hat in the ring and take down Trump, it was like watching a toddler have a meltdown in the middle of a fancy dinner. There were no punches pulled. J.D. went full throttle, calling out Trump like he had just discovered the world's worst Twitter feed. Trump was the bad guy in J.D.'s comic book. His very existence was a stain on the Republican Party, a walking, talking reason why America was in trouble. J.D. didn't just lightly disagree with Trump, he went all in, labeling him a charlatan and a dangerous figure. It felt like J.D. was waving a flag that read, "Look at me, guys, I'm not part of that crazy circus." It was like he was yelling, "I swear I'm the only sane one in the room." Totally not one of them. One of the takeaways was not just that the Republican Party base is fundamentally flawed in a way that's unique in American political history, but that Trump is a really bad candidate and, frankly, I think a really bad person. But J.D. didn't stop at calling Trump a joke. He took it up a notch, calling Trump's rhetoric toxic. And let's face it, toxic in politics is like using the word curse to describe a haunted house, a word that leaves a mark. J.D. didn't just think Trump was bad at policy. He acted like the guy was single-handedly ruining political discourse with a wrecking ball of chaos. J.D. couldn't resist taking a jab at the whole "Make America Great Again" mantra, practically scoffing at it as a slogan that catered to the darkest corners of America. And boy did he roast it. J.D. Vance went in, painting Trump supporters as folks trapped in some delusional time warp, desperately clinging to a version of America that only existed in their heads. It was like he was calling them out for living in a sepia-toned fantasy while he was over there trying to squeeze into oversized political boots that clearly didn't fit him. Biggest problem with Trump, and there are many things to pick out, is that his message to the right, especially the white working class, of which I came from, is anti-conservative. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. And I've noticed this willingness from people who think a lot like I do. "We told you so" to all these white working class voters. We told you that Trump was. But hold up, Jasmine Crockett wasn't having any of it. She didn't just sit back. She hit hard, ripping apart the pretentiousness and outright lies. How can a man who once called Trump a bad person now team up with him as vice president? She laid down the truth about how the administration's lack of action cost thousands of lives. It wasn't just a misstep, it was a level of incompetence that's only possible if you think your daily grind involves crafting tweets instead of actually running a country. But hey, Trump's got a golden toilet to help him scrub away the guilt, right? Then there's the economic chaos Trump left in his wake. Here's a man who's so obsessed with his brand that he probably thinks selling himself is the same as creating real sustainable jobs. Spoiler alert, it's not. Jasmine doesn't just call out his tax cuts for the rich or his love affair with Wall Street. She nails him for turning a national crisis into a joke. Meanwhile, the average American worker is left holding the bag while Trump throws a party with his billionaire friends. But what's new? The guy's been living in a bubble so long he probably thinks inflation is just the name of a new club in Mar-a-Lago. Here's the point. We have people in this chamber that are actually causing just as much of a threat, if not more of a threat, to our own country. We should be talking about holding our very own accountable for the misinformation and disinformation they are spreading. Whether it's coming out of China, Russia, or whoever is peddling it, it is a problem. Right now, what we see is that people are dying, and we cannot get the support we need from the public because they continue to peddle lies. I'm tired of the cherry on top, the entire Make America Great Again slogan. What does that even mean anymore? It's like a bumper sticker that sounds vaguely patriotic but offers zero substance. Jasmine Crockett isn't letting him get away with it, though. She's calling out the irony of it all, mocking the fact that the slogan was less about actual progress and more about nostalgia for a time when everything was somehow simpler. At least that's how it seemed when you were a rich guy looking to make even more money. And it's not just the tweets. It's the way he actively encouraged division, making the country feel like it was a reality show, with every episode more dramatic than the last. But that's Trump for you, always turning everything into a spectacle while real issues are left in the dust. Jasmine Crockett isn't letting this slide. She knows what's at stake, and she's calling out Trump's lies like a pro, making it crystal clear that his version of great wasn't actually great for anyone but himself.